Whenever someone mentions Drupal, two other names are sure to be in the air: WordPress and Joomla. These certainly aren't the only three content management systems out there, but they are the biggest, at least when you look at statistics, such as the one on the site backendbattles.com. On the front page, you see a comparison of all of the back-end tools, that is, things that are installed on the server to help support websites. And by far the most popular one is Google Analytics. And in fact, Google Analytics is often used on Drupal sites. If you look down these first 7, you don't see Drupal at all. But if you look at only the CMS category, you see that it shows up as number 1. Now, quite honestly, the only reason that that's so is because this particular site classifies WordPress as blogging software. And there you see that there's over 140 WordPress sites in the top 10,000, as compared to just a mere 39 for Drupal. In practice, though, the three are really quite similar. This video talks about some of their differences. To make this easy to remember, I've broken up the differences into 4 categories, which are easy to remember with the letters ASUM, a sum of 4 qualities: the CMS's abilities, support for the CMSs, their usage in the world, and their maturity, how long they've been around and how stable they are. We'll look at these one at a time. First, abilities. Drupal has proven itself as being able to support even the most busy websites out there. There was one case where 20,000 requests per second were hitting Drupal, and it worked just fine. Drupal gets a lot of high praise from developers, and it's generally considered to be a complete CMS. Joomla is very similar. It hasn't proven itself with as high traffic sites, but I haven't heard complaints that would suggest that it wouldn't be able to do the same capabilities as Drupal. Whereas Drupal is favored by developers, Joomla usually gets a lot of attention from designers, who find it easier to make visual impact with their sites. And like Drupal, Joomla is considered a complete CMS. WordPress is best known for being easy to set up and easy enough for beginners even to use it. The only thing is, it doesn't have nearly as many capabilities as Drupal or Joomla. However, because it's so popular, there's so many people developing for it, it's growing fast, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it start to meet or even overtake Drupal and Joomla. And I should really mention that these are all arguable measures. There are designers who prefer Drupal, there are beginners who prefer Joomla, and so on. Next, support. Both Drupal and WordPress have a single authority who's considered to be the one who runs the community: Matt Mullenweg for WordPress and Dries Boutart for Drupal. These were the people who wrote the original software and still have a strong hand in it. Joomla, on the other hand, doesn't have a central authority, and that's actually caused it some problems. Joomla itself is a split from an earlier project called Mambo, and this lack of leadership has caused some infighting within that community. If you come across problems that you can't handle and you want to hire somebody, you'll see that Drupal, Joomla, and WordPress all have a large number of consultants available. It's worth noting that Drupal has quite a few companies with more than 10 employees. That's good if you have a large site and you want to be sure that they can dedicate enough firepower to your problems. On the other hand, both Joomla and WordPress seem to have more individual consultants. Next, we come to usage. In this regard, there is no comparison. Going back to that site I showed you, Backend Battles, WordPress is by far the most used of the 3 CMSs. There are allegedly over 25 million sites using WordPress, although of course, how often those sites are updated or how active they are generally is under debate. But you can't argue with the number of top sites that are using WordPress, 140 or so, as compared to 40 or so for Drupal and 20 for Joomla. That's of the top 10,000, as is rated by Alexa.com. Finally, we can compare the CMSs by maturity. Drupal is the one that's been out longest as a single project. I mentioned earlier that Joomla broke off from Mambo in 2005, so you could arguably say it goes back as far as Drupal, or not, depending on how much you think Joomla is similar to the earlier Mambo. Another way to consider the maturity is by looking at the number of themes available for them. Drupal has about 500. Now that's for Drupal 6. Many of those will be modified so that they'll run with Drupal 7, but of course it's too early to tell yet. Both Joomla and WordPress have over 1,000 themes. Now that's only one measure, of course. You should also consider how many people are contributing code, how many people download Drupal or Joomla or WordPress per month, and so on. On the code contributor side, Drupal is extremely strong. Hundreds of people are contributing code to Drupal every week and making it a stronger project. Finally, I just want to mention some resources if you'd like to take a look at the whole world of CMSs to decide if Drupal is right for you. First, A simple search online for Drupal versus Joomla or Drupal versus Joomla and WordPress will tell you a lot. One article that I like in particular is this one here on the opensorcery.com. Finally, it's a good idea to look at sites that are running the three CMSs. A big Drupal site is examiner.com, which just switched over to Drupal recently. It's one of the top sites on the web at number 505. Ubuntu.com is another one running Drupal. And there are many more that you can see at the URL here on aboutart.net. Joomla doesn't have quite as many big sites. The biggest one that I could find is this dnsstuff.com at Alexa 4000 or so. There's the site That Guy with the Glasses, which looks very good. WordPress, as I mentioned earlier, has many sites. The top one, amusingly enough, is Perez Hilton, which is Alexa 560 or so. Failblog.org is another one, and you can find many more by going to backendbattles.com/backend/WordPress or Drupal or Joomla. If you go through many of those examples, you'll quickly realize that all three are ready to tackle pretty much any website building challenge. And they're all free, so there's no cost to try them all. So that brings us to our next question. Why choose Drupal? We'll cover that in the video about deciding whether to use Drupal. And if you want to get more of a sense of what's been done with Drupal, see the video about looking at Drupal-built sites.